Welcome to Rap in Order, the interrogation of a hip-hop album, where we take some of the culture's most beloved hip-hop albums, put them on the stand, see if they stood the test of time. Now let's see who we got on the stand today.
Prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
Welcome to another episode of Rap in Order. I'm First Class Regg.
I'm Taurian B.
How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. No
What
complaints.
shirt we got?
Oh, you know, Ant-Man comes out this week.
Oh yeah, ain't no thing. Yeah,
Ain't no thing but chicken wing for the king.
Jonathan Major's about to have Scott Lang go through it.
Yeah,
about
man.
to put him in that pack.
Yeah, man, with them big high stepper boots.
Bruh. Yeah, man. I've been trying to avoid all the little clips that are coming out. How's that been working out for you?
It's been working magnificently. Because truthfully now, I don't like surf Twitter. I just let the group chats tell me what's going on Twitter. I feel like in our comic book chat, we've argued with the guys enough to not share spoilers.
Yeah. So everybody knows, and our chat standard, shout out to the guys, our chat standard is no later and no sooner than that Monday. Right?
Yeah.
So like we don't hear about for movies. So we don't hear about spoilers, none of that shit. You drop an additional trailer, that's even off grounds. You get 2 trailer limit. 3 trailers, that's like kind of OD. Like we don't want none of that. But yeah, needless to say, we waiting. Jonathan Major's about to kill it. You know, this is about to set up phase 4. Yes, in a big way. So but that's neither here nor there. What we're here for today is to get into this Victory Lap album from Nipsey Hussle, which was his official studio album. It was released in 2018 through the All Money In, No Money Out label and under Atlantic Records, of course. You got Diddy on this. You got who else? You got coming out party for Kendrick. Well, not coming out party, but coming out party for Roddy Ricch. Yeah,
Roddy Ricch, Kendrick, YG. Who else was on here? I'm trying to think. Out of those standouts. Well, that's to me those were the 3. Those
were the big standouts on the album. But the production on this really, really held the standard of Nipsey's ear for production. I think wasn't even talked about enough because I think up until this point, you know, he was still leaning into his superstardom. This was the album that was about to take him out of here.
Right. I know that with the making of this album, he built the studio and actually like had his team like work together because he wanted to have that feeling of how like when Puff back in the days with the Hitman at Daddy's house.
At Daddy's house, yeah.
He wanted to recreate what like Barry Gordy did at Hitsville, USA. Like and you know with Birdman at Cash Money and you know basically like what the essence of like what a lot of great labels did with their production and crafting their sound.
Yeah, and how it was all synonymous to this one space that they all worked in. Yeah, I get that. I think with Nipsey's an interesting West Coast figure, right? Because he's one of those that there was a point where him as a person was bigger than his music. So like he was like this renowned West Coast figure, like this very well-respected West Coast figure. And it got to a point where I think up until Victory Lap, where how he was seen in public was about to match his music. And that was the sweet spot. That's what everybody was waiting for, I think, if you were a fan of Nip. But with this album, it was and the title, everything, it was such a like moment for him. And I think, and it was one of those things that he was able to appreciate the service and the respect of it while he was still here and before he passed. So I thought that was big.
For me, with Nipsey Hussle, what I thought was great was how much like he bet on himself. He constantly like tells the story of how like he had to deal with Epic and he got out of it, and then he kind of like got back into street shit, and then you know came back out. It was like the demand for his music was so high. That's when he created the Proud to Pay program, and like and I think what really pivoted his career was when he put out the Crenshaw project. and like he charged $100 for
$100, yeah.
And it came with certain things, and it was like at first it's like when you hear it, you're like, who the fuck does this guy think he is, like, to sell a record for $100? But like basically, like, he kind of was giving out like the package deal of what you would get anyway if you went to autograph signing for an artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was saying like, yo, if you're in LA, the LA area, you can meet me. You get an autograph copy of it, and you get to take a picture with me, and you get to shop in the Marathon store, right? So, and then obviously there's fans that weren't there. You know, they got an autograph copy of the album and everything like that. But he was so enterprising that like Jay-Z got wind of this, and remember, this got caught up in the news cycle as well as when the Magna Carta Holy Grail project came out. Jay-Z bought, I think he bought, what was it? Was it 10
like
copies or 50 copies?
I thought it was 100 copies.
He bought 100 copies?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right, because it was 10,000 that
Yeah.
they paid him. Right. So Jay bought 100 copies of the project, right? And I just think that tells you right there that like what people thought about his business mind and the things that he was doing. Like that Jay felt like it was necessary to support him, because it's kind of like, yo, if the demand is that high for it, like what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? If it's an artist that you like. And like me getting into like vinyl records now, I definitely think like for a CD, especially back then, I mean, I guess like as time goes on, like our kids will look at CDs as like a vintage thing. But for vinyls, I definitely understand paying $100 for a vinyl record. Autographed by somebody that you think is like your favorite artist, and he was on hiatus for a little while. Brilliant. So I just think that just added to his legend. Like he was the ultimate like entrepreneur rapper. A lot of these rappers say that they're entrepreneurs, that they have a business mind, whereas Nipsey Hussle really, 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 you know, took himself seriously and bet on himself. And I think that was like the most appealing thing about him that so many people gravitated towards.
I think so too. I think it's one of those things that that put more eyes on him, and people became curious, right? And you always want people to remain curious with your art because it's gonna have them tapping in. I think around that time, even though I remember that time so vividly because there were either people that were like, yo, I respect this, or people were like, yo, this is fucking stupid. And then they went and downloaded it. Either way, it had your attention. They went and illegally downloaded it just to say they didn't pay, which is just, which is disrespectful to his art. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure he anticipated that because he still had more eyes on him. I know leading up to this album, it was like the perfect storm. You had, this was my first time hearing Roddy Ricch. This was my first time paying attention to who he was on the song that they had together with Racks in the Middle, which was like the kickoff to this album coming out.
Yeah.
It was a perfect storm. It was produced by Hit Boy. You had a new artist like Roddy that was about to branch out. You had Nipsey, who's been around forever. He's had songs with all these solidified artists over the years. You know, he had a track Gambino at one point. He had music with Drake when Drake was still coming up. Killers, yeah. When Drake was still coming up. So he was like the rite of passage for a lot of artists when they on their come up stories, especially when they were trying to branch out to the West Coast.
And isn't he arguably a part of the greatest freshman class?
Yes. What year was that? Was that 2013? Let me see.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we were finding out in real time.
It had to be before 2013. Let me see.
Before 2013? So
Let me see.
2011?
Nipsey. 2010.
Okay, he was a 2010 class?
Yeah.
Some people argue that the 2010 class is the greatest freshman class.
2010, bro. So you had J. Cole on there. You had Nipsey. You had Wiz, OJ the Juice Man, Big Sean, Freddie Gibbs, J-Rock. Yeah, this class was incredible, and he was right there front and center. Nipsey's been at this for a minute, and I think with his mixtapes and everything, he just seemed so sure of himself. Even when you look at him on the cover, it's like, yeah, finally for y'all niggas, you know, it's like y'all are catching up. You know, he knew his greatness, and his greatness doesn't. His greatness is very different when it comes to hip hop because it's not narrowed in and focused on just skill of rap. Because he was a good rapper, but it's more so about his message. Yeah. So it's about his message and his content that's there that puts him at the focal point.
Right. One thing that I also like really admired about him was like how he respectfully went out of his way to make sure that the Snoop Dogg comparison stopped at them just being California natives. Like, he turned down, like, Snoop especially requested him to play him in Straight Outta Compton. He turned down Snoop, like you said, like, respectfully. Like, I turned that down.
I forgot
L, and they're both Crips. You know, like, whenever people compared him to Snoop, like, he always would, like, correct them and tell them why they were different, but, like, always, like, held respect for Snoop. And, like, I always thought that was, like, brilliant because, you know, you have a lot of artists that would have loved to be compared to Snoop and just piggyback off that and like and Snoop is such a cool dude. If he fuck with you, he just would like have you around.
Yeah.
Nipsey never wanted that. I'm pretty sure Nipsey could have got Snoop to get him a deal, anything. You know what I'm saying? Like off of their relationships, and like he just didn't. Like he really like stayed to, like he really like took his own route and did it himself. And like that's another thing that I like really admire about him, and that was just really cool to me. But this album is the album that like I like really enjoyed and lived with for a while. And it's funny because after he passed, I was in LA the following week.
I remember that, yeah.
And I had a rental car, so like riding around LA, I'm playing his album, and then you're hearing his album in other places and seeing like all the murals that were erected. Like he passed away on a Sunday or something like that. By Wednesday, murals everywhere for him.
Yeah.
Like all over the place. Like I went to the Marathon store and like went and like lit a candle for him and everything like that. I just think that man's impact was like second to none, and like I think that like that's why like the outpour for like him after he passed was like so large. Even if you didn't know his music, like you respected something. It was something that you saw about him, or something that like you read that he said that you respect about him. From the victory slap, from when the Lakers almost got into it with the Houston Rockets, and
he was on the side pulling his pants up, like, yo, what we doing?
You know, like from how people saw how he treated Lauren London. I think like you know, there was you know, a little controversy because on Family Guy,
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah,
they made that reference saying like, you know, he's a rapper that only people cared about because he passed away. But I think that if you saw Nipsey Hussle, you instantly respected him for whatever he did, even if it wasn't rapping. And I think that's like what stood out about him. And sometimes like I think that matters. Like sometimes like respecting the man versus like what they respecting what they do. Sometimes, you know, I think it matters a little bit more. Like he was respected just for like existing and like doing things that, you know, some people would consider like a stand-up kind of person. I think that's the importance of his legacy, is that people saw him do things, and 9 times out of 10 it was leaning on like the right side of things.
Yeah, that's true. And there was a lot of room for improvement with him too, that he was super open about, and just learning to better himself and through his music. And you can tell the way that he was elevating. Like you see that in other places too, where, you know, if you followed Hov from like 96 up until like where he is now, you know, it's a different person. And you know, the respect level that he has grew with that. And when you get somebody like Hov and you get him to exemplify the type of respect that he has for Nip, you know, I'm pretty sure in a lot of ways he saw a lot of himself in somebody like Nip.
Yeah.
That believes in themselves, that put that money into themselves, that, you know, was 10 toes down like at all times.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because they were like, they said at one point that he would text Jay every morning, like top of the top. Like they were having conversations regularly. So I think a lot of things was on the horizon for them to like do a lot of business together and work together.
I think so too. But in the fold of the album, because obviously we can talk endlessly about Nip. Kicks off with Victory Lap, which is a very strong opening. I think.
I wrote it down. I said the same thing.
It's super strong and it's super like statement big, you know? Like I said, like his whole branding of Marathon and everything, and this being called Victory Lap, it just all worked. The production is so grand. What you got for this?
The opening, I'm prolific. You know, I'm prolific,
so gifted.
I just think that like right there just lets you know like, oh shit, like, you know, he kind of just commands respect. And I think that he knew he had a way with words, and like he was also known to be like an avid reader, and like he listened to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. So I think that he knew that words was powerful, and he was a big Pac fan.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Pac, Pac knew that words meant something versus like, rhyming them together. So in hip hop, like, everybody has like their different ways of getting their points across, and I think, like you said, Nip wasn't the best rapper, but he knew what to say to like hit a chord, and I think Nipsey really understood that. Like,
I think so too.
That I wish, you wanna know what? I wish Rick Ross was on this show.
On this, I can hear Ross on this. I could. Yeah, I can hear Ross on this.
I wish Ross was on it. Obviously, we're not gonna go track for track, and I'm not taking Reggie's job. I know that's Reggie's job to go to keep it moving along. But yo, Rap Niggas is my favorite Nipsey Hussle song of all time. I want to tell you right now, when I hear this song, I want to find a bulletproof vest, take off my shirt, and just go outside with my toy gun, my super soaker, and just screaming to the top of my lungs. Like, you don't understand. Like, this song, Rap Niggas is such a statement.
Rap Niggas is big. To follow Victory Lap, you needed another big one, and I think this one is it.
I love that song. Like, you don't understand. Like, I've played that song at ignorant. I'm not even a person that listens to music loud. I played that song at ignorant levels and just getting in my zone because I love that song so much. I just think it's one of the best songs ever. Like, period. Like some people like ask me like, yo, what do you think some of the 100 greatest songs is? I'm putting rap niggas in there. It might not be number one, but it's one of my 100 greatest songs ever made.
It's produced by DJ Khalil, Mike Keys, Rance, and it sounds like it reminds me of like, it's super super West Coast. Like, I can't put my finger on it because I think what it reminds me of, all the songs it reminds me of, they kind of like bleed together a little bit. Yeah. But it's super West Coast. It's super fucking like, it sounds like some NWA type shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this record. Like, even the way it opens, I ain't nothing like you fucking rap niggas. Like, it's super like yes, nigga. Like, it's divisive, but it's at the same time you could sing along to it. Like, it's just great.
Yeah.
It's just great.
I love some ignorance on the album sometimes, man.
I love it all the time. It's fucking phenomenal. Shit, last time that I checked, talk about that one too. See what I'm saying? It features YG, rightfully so. That was his homie. I think last time that I checked is so like YG has kind of carved out. Say what you want about him. He's been around.
Icon, that's what I'll say about him.
He's been around for a really good amount of time now. Like, I mean, back in 2013. I want to say is when My Crazy Life came out, because 2012 was Good Kid, Mad City. Wait, what was the name of the album? Was it My Crazy Life?
My Crazy Life.
My Crazy Life came out, and it was kind of the opposite end of Kendrick's album because it told the story so fucking well, and I don't think people realized that he was gonna be a good storyteller or even sequence the album that well.
Right.
So he was kind of a surprise artist, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually surprised about how long he's been able to stick around.
I'm not,
because his music keeps developing in different ways.
I think Jeezy's mentorship for him was like pivotal because Jeezy actually got him out of LA, and I think Jeezy garnered that much respect from somebody like YG, right? And I think that's the reason why like YG isn't in the predicaments that like some of his peers are, because he had some of the right people around him be able to like have him remove himself from certain things and like also expand his horizons. Like we can see like what he's going on like with his like journey through like fashion. He's being exposed to a lot of different shit, and I just think that that's dope. And I think that like he's carved out a lane for himself, and I fucking love YG.
And
thank you.
He actually is. He drops really good merch, low key.
Yeah, he does.
He drops dope merch. You got like a shirt from him, right?
Yeah, man. Let's dress. What I forgot what it say, but yeah, everybody likes it because at the end of it says one boo.
Oh yeah,
let's dress. Most sex. Let's dress. One boo. Say all that shit on there. Everybody like that shirt.
Yeah. So that song is solid. The way that you feel about Rap Niggas, I like Young Nigga. Okay. Young Nigga is solid. Okay. Features Diddy. Yeah. Popping his shit a little bit. The production is so clean. Nip gets in this pocket where he's just flowing toward the end, and then you just hear Diddy in the back like, yeah. And like he just like it just feels it's such a sweet moment on this album.
He because there's a story like that he reached out to Puff like, yo, I want you to like get on a track of my album, and Puff picked this song for it to be that, and Puff is credited as an executive producer on the album. What I like really is that like the story that he tells on the song. So a lot of people have heard this story that like his brother hustled Black Sam, and that he buried money in his grandmother's backyard, but he didn't know. I guess he didn't put it in like. Well, I think like it would have got messed up plastic bags or not, but like they didn't prepare it properly. So the money got like tore up by like worms and like ate by like bugs and stuff like that. So when they dug the money up, they was trying to like piece the money back together because all his money had got ruined because it was underground. It's saying like it was a lot of money that Black Sam had buried in his grandmother's backyard, and like that they didn't know what they was gonna do because it was like, yo, all this money that we thought he had like it's fucking gone, and like he remembers like feeling helpless and telling that story in this song. I thought was really dope.
Yeah. And the way the way that he told it was really good. Another part of this album, dedication is solid too. Like the first I would say like the first 8 songs are so fucking strong on this album. Dedication, of course, features Kendrick Lamar. It's produced by God, Rance, and Mike and Keys, Axel Foley. Yeah, man, this shit, solid fucking verse from Kendrick. It's amazing. Like it just flows.
Another story. He told the story how like he sent Kendrick. He wanted Kendrick to get on another song, but the producers knew that this was the song they needed Kendrick to be on. So they, as a surprise, they gave the song to Kendrick. So when Nip and Kendrick saw each other, Kendrick saw him and was like, "Yo, like I got you." And Kendrick and Nip was like, "Oh, so so he named the song," and Kendrick was like, "Nah, dedication." And Nip was like, "That's not." And Kendrick was like, "That's the song we're doing, bro." And then like and then Kendrick raps about the conversation that him, Top Dogg, and Snoop Dogg had at the Tupac movie premiere together out there, and I just think that that's dope. That like basically like he was talking about Kendrick's writing process, like how Kendrick kind of like sometimes like has to like draw off of things that like happen in the now, because like he doesn't want to keep telling the same stories from his childhood or things like that. So he thought that it was dope. Like he said when he got the verse back, like, oh shit, that's what we talked about at the movies. You know what I'm saying with Top and Snoop. So I just think that that's pretty dope that he was able to like get that, and like it kind of like it kind of ruined the surprise because it was a song. But like, I think that that's dope that him and Kendrick were able to like link, and like Kendrick like told him like, I'm doing this song for you. I got like I promise you I'm gonna put that stank on it. Like, and then
that's fire. I love that Kendrick does that because Kendrick has a history of doing that too, where he'll take like real conversations, and then the people that are involved would be the only ones that know. And it's not on some like this shit or nothing. It's just like a very niche reference that person would get. Even I remember he has this verse on Perfect Pint from a Mike Will album where he references a conversation that he had with B Dot from Rap Radar. And nobody else caught it but B Dot, of course. And then B Dot put up like a little snippet of it. There's always those little sweet moments. Damn, it looks like I am going track for track. I'm gonna try to shake it, but Blue Laces.
Speaking of B
Blue Laces 2.
B Dot loves this song, like classically, because he loved. It's a sequel to Blue Laces, and I think this song actually makes me emotional. This song actually makes me cry.
It's been so.
And it has that's the Willie Hutch sample from it's from the Hospital Prelude of Love theme from the Foxy Brown soundtrack, and him telling like the story about like basically like they got into like his high school, they got into a fight and it turned into a shootout. His friend got shot and they had to take him to the hospital, and like he's basically like telling another story of like how he was telling his friend like, man, you gonna get your stripes after this, like you just got shot, you gonna live, man, cut it out. Like the girl that was driving the car was so frantic, Nip had to drive, and he's consoling his friend as he's driving to the hospital. And I think that it's just brilliant that like Nip was like full of so many stories, but he would hold on to it because in interviews they would ask him like, well, why didn't you tell this story in your other projects? And he was like, some things you gotta hold on to because it's not right. Yeah. And it was like he was just full of like stories and things that happened to him to like just be able to tell these stories and like give references and everything. Like
Yeah.
back to like, you know what I'm saying, his growing up and shit.
Even and I think as a storyteller in general, it's important to do that because like you got somebody like Kendrick when Damn came out and he told that story on Duckworth.
Yeah,
I was like, nigga, if I was a rapper, y'all would have heard that on my mixtapes. But that nigga saved it to his third album to tell that story about like the collision of like how his dad and Top Dog met.
Yeah.
And how that almost became something completely different.
Right.
I think that's so important to just, and that's such a like that's such a crazy mindset to be like, nah, niggas not ready for this yet.
Yeah.
I could flesh this out and tell this in a different way. And it looks a lot different when I'm at a different place in my life. That's fire. Right.
We gotta do Hustle and Motivate.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, after this, the way that it goes in a Hustle and Motivate and the story behind Hustle and Motivate, the beat is
I'll let you tell that story.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been storytelling all day.
But no, so Hustle and Motivate is a special one. Because obviously we know the story, or if you don't, about how he secured the beat for this, because you kind of have that Hard Knock Life sample on here, and how Hove kind of gave him the blessing of using it, because Hove had the foresight when he secured the sample to have anyone else in hip hop have this sample as well, right? Is that
that was the agreement.
Yeah. So the way that this came together is kind of and I appreciate the pitch of this so much, because it's like it's slowed down and there's more emphasis on the drums. Like, I think what was the sweet spot about Hard Knock Life back then was just, you know, it's the Annie sample, you know, it wasn't done before. Right. So listening to this now, and it's fitting so well with Nipsey's story, and him leaning into it the way that he did, the chorus, everything, it just like worked. Even when he takes the bass out at the end, like it's just chef's kiss.
Yeah, it is. It's also funny to me because like this was literally just like there's so many stories of how DJs used to just use like instrumentals like in between like doing shit at shows. And like Kid Capri had this, and it would just be an instrumental, like the Hard Knock Life beat, just playing like in between,
like in between shows. Yeah.
And I think that's so funny. Like it went from that to like Jay-Z making it his biggest selling song ever, and then you know like years later down the line, like here comes Nipsey Hussle, does this song, he gets the blessing, and like then you find out the story that like Jay made it so that like any rapper. Like any artist period that wants to like use it is going to get cleared.
Okay. So him having the foresight back then was incredible, and what Nipsey was able to do with this Hustle and Motivate song was just so solid. I don't think people even appreciated or have watched the video like from back then that he dropped to Hustle and Motivate.
That's awesome. He has some dope videos.
He had some great videos for this album. He had he also had Lauren London as his love interest in this video. But yeah, man, do you want to get into the next song, or you want to skip around?
Let's skip around now.
Okay.
I feel like now we.
I think now we can.
The first 7 songs were just very important, and I think that says a lot about an album. When you get in, it's the first seven songs are undeniable.
They all went together. There was no way that I couldn't talk about one without the other.
Yeah.
Keys to the City 2, rather. It features T Fly or T Flea. No, it's T Fly. What you think of this one?
So this is one of the songs that like I'm not that like I don't like the hook, but my favorite part is at the end when the beat switches up. Like I like it. It's cool. It's just like this is like one of like the low points for me on the album. Like this one and Status Symbol are two of my like low points on the album.
I feel the same about Status Symbol. I don't really necessarily need it. There's another song on here. I can't think of the name right now, but I know it when I hear it. That he kind of sounds like Meek. It's toward the end. I want to say it's Real Big. Pause. I want to say the name of the song is Real Big. No, that's not the one, because that's with Marsha. That one is solid. And then he has another song on here that I love, the track that he has with CeeLo. That's a really good song.
Is that one? What song?
That one is Loaded Bases.
Loaded Bases.
Loaded Bases with CeeLo is chef's fucking kiss. Jake won on the production.
He knew he was on his way.
Yeah,
for that one, like he knew what he was doing, and I just think that like Nip knew he was going to be a big artist, and he knew that he was going to be like one of the top rappers out, and I think like he was like kind of like going to fill the shoes of like I don't know, you know how people always say like, yo, who's going to be like the next Jay-Z or like fill in that. The reason why I can say, no, I'm not going to say that. He was going to like basically be like he was going to like fill a void that Jay-Z was leaving, not lyrically, but like enterprising wise, inspiring people to kind of like be your own boss. Like he was the evolution of that. So
okay.
So listen, hear me out. Jay-Z came out, start your own label, start your own clothing line, like that way, right? Nipsey was kind of going in the lane of like crypto and like owning like your own businesses and land and things like that. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like, and through his lyrics he did inspire people, but like I'm just saying that like obviously he's nowhere close to as being a good rapper as Jay-Z. But the way that Jay-Z was able to like motivate people and inspire people to be businessmen, Nipsey was on that level, and I think that he was going to like finally crack the seal and like cross into that world. There were a lot of things that he was interested in, especially like crypto and tech. Yeah, and him being out in California, like the places where like those are the major things, I think was going to make a huge difference.
I think so too, and just in general in hip hop, I think we have different tiers of that. Where we have a lot of people that like Ross will inspire you in a different way. He'll inspire you because he's not necessarily pushing you to do it, but he's showing you that he's done it, right, and he's showing you what you can have. He's showing you the fruition.
Yeah. I say him and Jeezy both do that. Like, they kind of like just motivate you to like work hard.
They motivate you to work hard because you see them do it, and then if you're paying attention, and then you got somebody like not necessarily on the tier of Nipsey, but like maybe like right under him of like that motivation of like pushing you to do it is Larry June from like the newer perspective, because he'll push you to focus on getting it, and then he also makes money from his touring and from his merch and his messaging.
I think Larry inspires people to live a better lifestyle.
Yeah, better lifestyle.
That's very, very big, like healthy lifestyle.
He'll say shit like, "Don't check me, check your credit score." Like he'll say shit like that. And like he's like, yo, if you're listening to this, I want you to be healthy, whatever. So like it's on that same type of level of inspirational type music, but still telling the story. So there's different tiers of that in hip hop, which I really appreciate. But you're right, like right under Hove and his type of messaging that he's into now, because it didn't really reach the level that is at now until 444, where he would talk about like, invest in this, invest in properties. It became so, he would like sprinkle it before, but now it's like his full on like focus.
It's hilarious because it's not even him. It wasn't that he was sprinkling it. It's just that like his lead singles would be so big, and it wasn't about that stuff that if you didn't like listen to the album, like you missed a lot. But like it's funny because Jay been like on that kind of time for like mad long.
Yeah,
like to hear that. But like I think Nip really cut through and just had that. He was known for it, and like people just gave him like, yo, like Nip has put me on this, and like even like I forgot his last name, but there's a young man, his name is Idris, that works in the tech world now, that was working very closely with Nip and like the things that Nip was trying to do, and you know, like did you know that like Nipsey Hussle basically like has like he essentially created something the same thing like as what WeWork is. Like it's a workspace place out there in California, and like somebody like me and you can be like, yo, we need like a work area to like rent for a couple hours or whatever time. You can go in there, you can rent it, and like they have like all the computers, like all the resources that you need to like work and like do research and stuff like that. Like he just had a vision to do that, and like, you know, they're trying to open up more in LA, and like he was basing them in like black communities, because you know most people don't have computers or like have access to things, so like you can like come in there and like I think one floor is for like people to like rent it, and then like another one is like open to like kids like after school and stuff like that.
That's big.
But I just think that like he was just putting his money where his mouth is and like getting like investors to do things. Yeah, and I think that's dope. That's
big, man. Wow. Let's talk about how he closes this album. Okay. With Right Hand to God, which is such a grand closing. Like it's like What you got for this?
It was like a proclamation, like basically like he was promising, like he was basically saying like I'm gonna keep my word. You put your hand over your heart and say to God, like I mean you put your hand up and say like this to God, like you put it on God, like you got to do it. So I think that was something that like he was big on, and like he was just saying like I'm gonna do this shit.
Yeah. So a tidbit here that I saw was Right Hand of God was originally supposed to serve as the intro for Nipsey's debut. Since in his opinion, it sounded like a good introduction to the album. During the sequencing, though, his friend Kobe convinced him to put the titular track "Victory Lap" first. So I think that was a great call.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Because Right Hand of God is such a it's such a handoff. Closer. Yeah, it's such a handoff to everything, to this whole experience for this album, and everything that he talked about, all the inspiration, everything that he was living up to, everything that he preaches, it was a great close off. Now, we talked about one of the songs that you're not that big of a fan of. Are there any other songs that you would take off of this? If you had to nitpick and say, yo, I don't really need this.
Status Symbol, Keys to the City. Just those two songs, like I just didn't. Oh, and Real Big.
Okay.
So 3 songs, I just really didn't. I wasn't a fan of on the album, and I think that's okay. I think I'm entitled to not feel 3 songs.
Okay. I think. Yeah, I think toward the end, the track with the Dream, I'm not that big on. Million While You Young.
Okay, this is all right. I have another thing. I'm so fucking tired of the Dream.
What is it like as far as a feature?
I don't like his voice.
Yeah, he's not. His voice isn't that great, not for features at least.
I'm just.
Yeah, I like it. We love his writing.
Yeah,
love his writing.
Writing is great.
I think he is one of those artists that at this point I've heard enough of. Like I have enough content from the Dream as a singer. I never hear nothing and be like, yo, the Dream would have been good on this. Like, nah. He can write. He can write his ass off. We know that. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, man. I think, I'm just tired of seeing him all the time. I am, When I saw him accept that award for Beyonce at the Grammy, I was like, God damn it! Like, I was so mad, bro.
He got that new hairline.
Yo, man, I was so mad. I was pissed.
Yeah, nah, I'm good on Dream. But I think if I was to nitpick, yes, Real Big and Million While You Young. I love Grinding All My Life. Grinding All My Life. Yeah, he got some. That's
a Shannon Sharp theme right there.
This is just a well put together album.
Yeah, I can say that there's 4 songs that I can do without on this project. Like I don't see like it didn't like change anything, especially because that first 7 was so strong. But like I said, like I really enjoyed this project, and I really loved how he took his time making the project. And like I know this is like really selfish of me, but like, I'm like curious. I'm like, what else he had in the vault? Because he had music that didn't come out. And it just makes me curious.
Do you think he's gonna come out with any, or is this estate gonna come out with anything else for him?
That's what like I hear like a lot of things, but like I don't know. All right, put it like this. I'm okay if it doesn't, but then there's just like a fan of me like, yo, how much he had like just sitting around. And who knows, man? Like I'm torn. I'm torn with that. Like, cause a lot of people say like, yo, stop putting out posthumous albums, like, especially if the artist is not here. But it's just like, I feel like Nip playing so far ahead. I feel like that the second album was done.
What's if you had to think off the top of your head, because this is a left field question, so you didn't prepare. But if you had to think, what's your favorite posthumous album, excluding Life After Death?
Excluding Life After Death. So
you can't name Life After Death.
You know what? I wasn't mad at that Michael Jackson album that came out.
Which one?
Shit.
The shit where he with the Justin Timberlake song?
Yeah.
Love Never Felt So Good. That was okay.
Love never felt so good.
Yeah, that was all right.
Like, I'm really trying to think, like, because it's like there's some artists that have had posthumous albums that I never knew was a posthumous album. So, like, you know, people like fucking Elvis or whatever like that. I didn't know. But when I think, like, if you put a gun to my head, I don't. Let's see here what we got. Oh, I take that back. Born Again by the Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, Biggie? That was a good one. That was a good one. Okay, since you can't name that, that's fair. Damn. Don Illuminati. A lot of people like that one. Legends Never Die, Juice WRLD. Yeah, we might have to explore this topic later.
Okay.
Just so we can do a deep dive, because there's a lot of albums that were big. I mean, you got The Shining from Dilla.
There's some albums that I didn't know because I was a kid when they came out, so I didn't know the time frame of when that person died or whatever like that. Because like I just saw that Big L album one day, and I was like, damn, I didn't realize that came out after he died.
I think Pac is one of the people that changed the perspective of posthumous albums.
Of course, that nigga has so
much. Because he has so much, and I think he's the one that kind of inspired a lot of these companies to dig in and say, hey, there's still content here, but I don't think it hits like how it used to.
Pun Yeah Baby.
Pun Yeah Baby was a big one. But these were a lot of, Pop Smoke, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon was really big for him. But yeah, these albums aren't really, these albums don't have the same effect like they did. Because Big Picture was big because I think it was a lot of people's introduction to Big L. Because he wasn't really there yet.
Yeah. That's another thing. A lot of these artists, like these albums were done and then the artist died. So it was like easier. But I think it's always different like when an artist dies and then they piece together a project to make an album.
And then it feels sloppy.
Yeah. That's like a thing where like I'm always like on the fence about it, like wondering like, all right, like should they do this? That's why like I can't say like with Nipsey, like unless like if Nipsey had a project where he was like, yo, this is my next album, like I'm done already. I'm okay with that, but if they got to piece together an album, don't do it.
Just leave it alone. Yeah. I feel you. So getting to your rating now. What do you rate this album?
Obviously I'm super duper biased. Like I think people know Regg. I didn't write it down. I was just trying to see if I wrote it.
I was, yeah.
I didn't write it down. But I give this album a 4 out of 5 waffles. I don't want to like sit here and like pander and say, oh, it's a classic, because this is one of the albums that like I really love. Like I truly love this album. But you know, I just gonna be realistic and just say that this album I think is 4 out of 5 waffles. I think that this album is probably one of the best albums that came out in 2018. Not because he died, because it was that fucking good. The first 7 songs on the album are so strong. And I just think that the impact that this project had, like I feel like I wish he was still here so we can like, you know what I'm saying, like see what else he was doing. But like if this was gonna be the last project, I'm cool with that.
I agree. I actually agree with that rating too. It's 4 out of 5 feels solid for this album. You know, whenever you leave an album wanting more from that person and just their development, that's always a good sign. I think Nip was just getting to that place where he was already very well respected, and like I said earlier, I think his lore and his legacy as a person was just matching up with his music, which would have been a sweet spot for him. I think this album proved his stardom, and it just sucks that we didn't get more of that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, but I agree with that rating. Obviously, we do recommend that we're not gonna do an album like this of this magnitude if we don't recommend that you guys check it out. So check it out for yourself. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you disagree or if you agree with what we're saying. I'm First Class Regg.
I'm Taurian B.
And we are out of here.